are in the charter situation. The majority of our students are in traditional education. And when it comes to co-location, when we talk about co-location, the majority of co-locations are the Department of Education schools in Department of Education schools. So if we talk about not allowing co-location, you're not going to, you have to talk about the fact that the majority, 80% of the co-locations are Department of Education in Department of Education. The reason I mention that is because this argument is such a tremendous distraction from what we should really be talking about, and that's a failed education system.
Okay, Robert Tiller,
yes. Well, again, I don't think that demagoguery against charter schools is merited, because though some people may not like them, tell that to a parent that has searched for an educational alternative and they found a school that they like. Excellence Charter School is across the street from my church. I reached out to the headmaster as soon as I got there. No reciprocation from that school. I've heard some very troubling things about security and the treatment of young people. But when I talk to friends and neighbors who have their children in that school and they're happy with it, then I'm tickled pink. The reality is people are looking for alternatives, and we've got to make it work for all of our children, and charter schools is a part of that equation, are a part of that equation.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question. It's a little bit different. It may sound similar to one we've said before, but let me qualify it. The question is, as a city council member, what would your first month in office look like? What problems do you tackle first and why? If we asked a question similar, that was, what would your first priority be? We're talking about overall, in terms of platform and focus. First month in office. Okay, we're going to start with Mr. Smith.
You know, it'll be easier for me to, I'm not going to have all this partying and I'm happy to be here. I need to go there with a homework assignment. This district has to come up with a homework assignment for their city council person, when it comes down to schools, jobs, you name it. You have someone there that's going to be there for 4 years. You have to have a district plan. Thank you. We have a huge unemployment problem. And that's not with the kids, that's with the parents. They're looking for work, they're out of work. We have one of the highest unemployment districts. We have so many things that we have to work on, and it's not going to be an easy run because there's a mess we're cleaning up. But without a plan, without a mandate from the community, say, hey, we decided as a group, as a community, as parents, as business owners. I know for a fact, I know a lot of you are tired of the shooting in the district. The shooting is ridiculous. And when you talk about respect from the police officers, how could they respect us after you had a Trayvon Martin rally across the nation, and then we had 29 shootings right after that? The merchants, the food is terrible. I did a comparison of this district versus other districts, how we paid so much for that garbage fruit on Fulton Street, bootleg products. There's a number of things we got to work on. Well, whenever they get Nostrand Avenue completed, we should have a party. The black community, whether you know it or not, and other communities don't respect us. We move in the cars 4 times a week. We got the shootings going on. The food is terrible. The schools are failing. I mean, you got to watch who you put in office, because you're going to get the same thing. You're going to get the same thing. Stick with the old not-for-profit. Follow the same philosophy. We all have to step out here.
Thank you, Mr. Carnegie.
My first month in office would be characterized by me finishing what I've already begun as a legislative policy analyst, which is protecting our seniors from predatory lending, making sure that there are safeguards in place so that they can stay in their homes longer. And I just want to mention that there is a district needs statement that's produced by Community Board 3 annually. And I would just suggest that people who are suggesting this mysterious plan go online and look at that district needs statement and sow into that. My point is that there are institutions that have taken place and there's a structure in place. Whether you like it or whether it works or not is up to you. And people who are saying that this is outside of something, I don't see participating in the process as it stands. So I would like to see the building of capacity with the institutions that we already have before you throw out the baby with the bathwater. So my first month would be characterized by finishing what I've already started, by making sure that the 1 million or plus veterans returning from Iraq and Afghanistan have decent housing and that jobs are available to sustain them. And as we integrate them back into the community, making sure that there are psychological services available so that they are not a soreness to the community, but they are able to integrate correctly. So there are needs that need to be matched. We have 1 million service members coming home to Brooklyn and Queens, which is where they hailed from, and need to have services in place for them, and I will continue that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sweeney, you wanted to rebut.
You know what the problem is with Bed-Stuy? This room should be packed. As he stated, we will work with what we have. From my point of view, those institutions, those folks, it hasn't worked. And if you want the same, more of the same, then you know who to vote for. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, let's talk about healthcare. Interfaith.
5 seconds.
Interfaith Hospital is about to close. Why don't some of you guys ask these candidates up here, what have they done and why is it closing?
Rob, I know you want to respond to that. Rob, I know you want to respond to that. I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to give you a chance. So Mr. Ford.
So, in all honesty, with all due respect to this room and to Reginald Sweeney, my voice is hoarse. It looks as though I'm aggravated while I'm up here because I'm extremely tired because I spent the entire night, 12 hours straight, on a vigil to send a message to the governor. Hold on. So there are people who have leveraged their relationships or who are working consistently within and without of a framework to bring a moratorium of hospital closures for the borough of Brooklyn. We meet constantly with federal, state.
Robert, I want to remind the candidates that you will have an opportunity at the end in your closing statements to address specific items or expound upon what you didn't get a chance to expound upon. Oh, I know. Oh.
Let me just say.
Mr. Ford, 30 seconds.
Let me just say, that was a ridiculous statement, so I'm not going to respond to that. What I will say is that I went to jail for interfaith, and you were not in my cell with me. What I will say though is that that was the question, and you just look.
What would you do in your first month?
Seriously, what was the question? My first month would be spent establishing a competent office that will deal with the constituency services needs that have been lacking in this community for quite some time. It's not just about the legislation, it's also about constituency services.
Okay, thank you. So we're moving on to our final question. We're moving on to our final question. Again, I'd like to remind the audience and the candidates that the candidates will have an opportunity in the end, 1 minute, in their final statements to address specifics. Yes, the final question. So education. After-school funding for after-school programs were cut by 21%. What will you do to restore and/or increase the funding as well as support for after-school programs for all schools in District 16? We're going to start with Mr. Ford.
We've got to prioritize after-school funding and after-school programs as not an extra line item, but as a holistic part of our educational system. We can no longer afford to segregate and compartmentalize the different ways that our children are educated. So maybe we need to start talking about extended school days. Maybe we need to start talking about taking those programs which do exist currently and building them out, and investing more in them, and giving them access to greater resources, so that we can talk about having a real serious after-school infrastructure. We need to talk about how to build out the educational infrastructure and not compartmentalize it, not segregate it. We need to reverse this trend that the Bloomberg administration has set us on of big corporate takeovers of every of the government. Whether we're talking about education, whether we're talking about housing, the Bloomberg administration wants to build luxury skyrise houses on NYCHA property, taking away our children's playground. It's the philosophy that we have to move away from. And so we have to move away from this philosophy of privatizing education, whether it be traditional schools or whether it be after-school programs and extracurricular educational programs. So we've got to move away from that. We've got to integrate extracurricular and extra educational programs and services back into our concept of holistic education. And if that means kids need to stay in school a couple of hours more a day as a part of their regular school day so we can circumvent this idea of an extra expense for educating them in an after-school program, we need to consider that. But we've got to build out our capacity during the school day and after the traditional school day.
Thank you. Reverend Tiller, did you want to respond?
Well, yes, but I first have a point of clarification. I was told earlier, and I haven't had an opportunity to respond to what Corning said. So will I get a chance to do that?
Each during the question and answer
But I
period.
don't think it's fair that it should be in my closing statement, because my campaign is not about responding to him. The format allows for us to respond. Can I have that opportunity? That is the question. I want to reiterate, as a member of the board, Community Advisory Board of Boys and Girls High School, as a person that is in the school frequently on a weekly basis, as a person who works very closely. I know Brother Wayne Devils is doing a great job, Mark 500 men, I understand all those programs are going on. What I am saying is I have not seen one of my opponents at Bedford Academy or Boys and Girls High School in the context of helping the advisory board and Mr. Gassaway improve that school. I do not shrink from that. In fact, I double down on that statement. And it's not a matter of being disrespectful, it's simply a matter of stating facts. You want someone who is running for the city council, who is in the council, that is demonstrated work. I have not said, I understand your work in other rooms, but I have not seen you at Boys and Girls High School. I have not seen, I'm not talking about spending the night. I'm talking about being there every day.
Mr. Cornegie, please allow him to finish. He still has a minute left. You'll get a chance.
That is my response. Now, in terms of...
Go ahead. You have a minute left.
And that question,
You got a minute.
You have 36 seconds with Reverend Tiller.
the question that I was asking.
School program? Did you
Again, one of the things that New York City Council people have done is looked at other models that work. Cincinnati has a great model. You know, we've got a beautiful physical plant. It's under capacity. But instead of talking about how under capacity it is, I mean, we're supposed to like small classrooms. Let's talk about the holistic approach that they're using in Cincinnati, which we are implementing on the advisory board committee. Services, medical services, psychological services. Let's ramp that up. Let's be more.
Thank you, Mr. Cornegie. You have 30 seconds.
So, like I said before, I've spent time with young people directly mentoring them with 500 men and also with my fraternity. So that's two different groups of men that have gone into and who have written checks to support the school that I'm responsible for. That's number one. Number two, I think that we cannot characterize what someone's done. I haven't done that to anybody on this panel. And I just think that that's disrespectful. Everybody works.
I said all been wrong. I didn't just say you out. You took it. I've not seen Sweeney. I've not seen you.
Gentlemen.
Thank you. Mr. Sweeney, did you want to respond? Okay, we got 30 seconds.
Hey, listen, ladies and gentlemen, and candidates. We are going to get it on because you guys have you have a record. You want to be the city council person, I mentioned interfaith. We have to really understand and know who you're going to trust that's going to do the right thing and make sure that this district grows, gets back on track. I mentioned interfaith. I got a whole bunch of your folks saying, where were you last night? But I know one thing, if you check out my Facebook page and all of the other things that we've been doing, you're going to see who's been there. And you got a crime debate coming up next. You got everything coming up. And we got to challenge these guys.
But they don't stop talking.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Foy, did you want to add something? 30 seconds.
I just think it's important that for the sake of the community, that we all speak about our ideas of transformation and not sit here and take pot shots which are unfounded. I will do something that is unconventional. Robert Cornegy has done more for Boys and Girls High School than there are some of us who are on this table who just got to this road. And there's some of us, because I was born in Unity Hospital on St. John's Avenue. I went to PS 397 in Crown Heights. I went to Philip and Skyler in Bushwick. I went to Brooklyn Tech in Fort Greene, and I went to Brooklyn College in Clapton. So I'm here before you got to New York City.
Thank you, Mr. Foy. We're going to be moving. Mr. Foy. Reverend Foy.
We don't vote on birth rates.
Okay. We're moving into closing statements. Thank you.
The format allows for response. There's nothing wrong. We're here for a debate. We're here to talk about the issue.
Reverend Tiller. Reverend Tiller. Reverend Tiller. No. Reverend Tiller. You have one opportunity. Okay. Reverend Tiller. It can go on and on. People are ready to go, so we're going to move to the closing statements. You can fold your response into the closing statements. I want to remind the candidates that you have 1 minute for your closing statement. 1 minute, and we're going to stick to the 1 minute. Please keep in mind, because I don't want to be rude to anyone, we will cut you off after 1 minute. Okay, we're going to start with Mr. Sweeney. Thank you. You have 1 minute.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming. I'm not an educator, but I will get the right people to make sure the district gets back on track. As you can see, 4 wonderful individuals have a lot to say about one another. And it's based on character, ethics, and who's going to do the right thing. You know, we didn't get the chance to talk about youth, where they're the most vulnerable for our jobs, but I will guarantee you, in the next 2 debates, I hope everyone comes willing to take whatever heat, follow the rules, but back up your mailing, back up what you claim you have done. Boys and Girls High School is this one school. Like I said, I'm not an educator, but I will tell you this. These guys want to stand on their record, and their record should be exposed for what it is. We have the voter needs to restore the democratic value, and no one has the right to play games with the public interest and public trust. They say in God we trust. So let it be.
Thank you.
I have all.
Mr. Cornegy, you're next. Thank you. You have 1 minute.
Don't say it for last.
I began tonight with an excuse that I was asked to be excused because I had a very pressing engagement. But I was scared to death to leave this room because if these men took shots at me while I'm sitting here, I'm scared to death what they would do if I left. But I want to say that I have been consistent and committed in the service of this community, inside and outside, when the lights are on, when the lights are not on. I have served. I came back to this community after having a very illustrious and enjoyable athletic career, and I have done nothing but serve. I serve as a district leader, which is an unpaid position. I serve on the community board, which is an unpaid position. And I believe that the voter will ultimately decide based on the body of work and the time spent and the effort and energy and the intelligence and the ability to either write policy or understand what's necessary from a city council level in terms of, in addition to advocacy. So I would just like to say thank you so much for allowing me to sit before you. I've enjoyed you this evening. Thank you again.
Thank you, Reverend Floyd.
At the end of the day, if we can't advance ideas about how to solve problems, if we can't present to you our records of accomplishment, our vision for how we move forward, if our entire campaign is saying, look at the other guy, then what we're really saying inside is that we have nothing to offer you. And so I have come here to offer you my solution. And it's up to you to judge whether or not they are appropriate, or whether or not they are accommodating, or whether or not you agree with them. That's your job. Our job is to present to you what our solutions are for the problem. I'm not here to tear down any black man. There is enough tearing down the black men by society and each other. So we can't stand as leaders telling young black men don't tear each other down as we sit up here and tear each other down. That's not what I'm about. I think we all have something to offer. I just wish we would all have enough faith in our own ability to actually offer.
Thank you, Reverend Taylor.
Thank you. It's good to see that the National Action Network is in the house. I have always been an outspoken leader in this community. And guess what? On September 12th, I will continue to be one. I'm known for being outspoken, always will be. And I'm known for being committed. Indeed, I saw Kirsten Ford when he walked in the door of the National Action Network. I had already been on the track 17 years before. I came to a debate tonight to discuss issues. I'm also the judge advocate for Boys and Girls Debate Team. It's a cheap debate tactic to personalize. I simply said I had not seen my opponents in Boys and Girls. You want a city council person. I've seen Councilman Van there, but I've not seen my opponents. My point is this. If we can't discuss the issues, yes, Reverend Sweeney and I have been on Interfaith Hospital, and it was not
Thank you, Reverend Taylor.
And I'm going to take my message to the district, and I'm going to resonate with voters as we do it. We came here for a debate this evening, and I hope that we have been able to discuss the issues to your satisfaction. I know some people brought their own group. They brought their own cheering section.
Thank you, Reverend Taylor. We have final statements. Final statements. Mark would like to make final statements.
Hello. I think these four gentlemen come in, they've given their time, and I just ask you to respect them enough to be seated until we close. Okay, so I want to thank Rob Cornegy, Kirsten Foy, Tyler Turk, Reverend Sweeney. I personally know a little bit of something of what they're going through right now, being on the stage and having to sort of go through this. It's a gauntlet to get to be city council person, one that they have to earn, but one that's very difficult as well.